Welcome to worship with the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria. My name is the Reverend Jennifer Innis. It is my great joy to be the minister with this congregation of people of all ages at all stages of life. This is a beloved community striving to live into its mission of embracing freedom, loving wholeheartedly, growing in mind, body, and spirit, and adding to the wholeness and the healing of the world. We welcome people of all ethnicities and races, sexual orientation, gender identities, social and economic situations, politics, and abilities. We advocate for human rights, and we strive to be good stewards of this one earth. So in living our mission, we recognize the network of relationships of which we are a part. This is the ancestral home of the Peoria people and many other nations. They and other people were here long before the first European settlers came down the Illinois River. So we take a moment, as we have been asked to do in service, to recognize the Peoria people for who they were and for who they are today. I certainly recommend getting to know them in their social media presence. I want to thank folks for joining us in person and online, and not be daunted by the snow. Check it out. There we are. Some people are like, yay. Some people are like, oh, no. It's okay. We are universal in our acceptance of weather. It's fine. It's fine. And your opinions of it. It's okay. We recognize how precious it is to gather together, to expand our circles of connection in this time. And so we are here, and this is a good thing. Thank you for joining us. If you are new to us today, please help us get to know you. We have lots of name tags. We welcome all the questions. And also, you are welcome to stay after service and join us for coffee and conversation. I haven't yet looked at Fellowship Hall, so I don't know where people will sit, but there will be coffee, so just be assured. And also, if you're joining us on Zoom, you're welcome to stay for that conversation as well. Let me invite you to take a moment to check your devices to make sure they are in worship mode, whether buzzy or silent. Thank you. And so I have a note about today's service. I want to thank my colleague, the Reverend Julie Conrady. She is serving with our Unitarian Universalist congregations in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And she's created the service in particular because she's been doing a lot of work in Alabama around censorship and efforts to ban books, to remove books from access for children in particular. And so it seemed like, and she's gifted us with a service, said, please go out and use this service. And so it seemed like a really good tie-in for our great UU book sale, which I will say more later. Especially when one ponders the question, why do I have so many books? Just think this maybe inside and maybe occasionally outside the head when we are in a confessional kind of mode. And I'm just going to say, if for no other reason, preservation and liberation. We are keepers of information and knowledge, not always great information and knowledge, but we are keepers of information and knowledge. So you can't have too many books. Of course, today's service focuses on much of what she wrote, and it's been adapted for our congregation. And of course, we have the end of the great UU book sale. This is a good day. No, it's a great day to pick up more books, add them to your life. I think it's pick up a bag for $5, fill a bag, find good things to take home, find good things to give away for the holidays as well. Get that shopping done a little early. This is also good. And once kind of the going through, maybe a little coffee is done, we'll need a great team of helpers to pack up the books so they can go off to where they are being donated to after coffee hour. Please see Nancy Rakoff and Lindy Peterson for advice on the when and the where and the how to help. This coming Friday evening is a lantern walk. So it's a chance to kind of gather together, have all ages meal, a soup supper, with making paper lanterns, a little bit of telling tales, and then kind of walking in the woods, bringing some light. So come and join us. Sunday is our congregational meeting for the fall, and It's a chance for us to have a financial update. We're going to have some really lovely news, I know, from the trust, so please come and join us. And also, the big thing to do is to vote on some of the social impact projects that have been crafted and have been shared out um, from the Social Impact Committee. And I think we'll have a chance to you can hear some more of those, hear about some of those during coffee hour after service. We'll share a little bit about them in email this week as well. But I really want to recommend folks come and join us to hear the kinds of relevant issues of the day that the congregation is going to be asked to kind of commit to for the coming year. And finally, for the notes for today, it is in fact November, which means Thanksgiving is coming. And so we'll be hosting a Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving. Please sign up to help with the cleanup or the setup, and also to bring a dish or something to share. I think we have the sign up out in the foyer, and also you can drop a note to the office as well. I really want to encourage folks to bring friends, family, folks that just may need a place to be and to be with people. We gather in Fellowship Hall. We tend to have a really good time. Lots of interesting food as well. So as well as the traditional stuff too. So thank you for help making Thanksgiving happen. And we get to enjoy a good meal together. And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit. Let me turn to our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And I invite our hymn singer, give us a boost. Please be seated, and I welcome Linda Fairbanks and Callan Howard to come join us for our opening and chalice lighting, and Steve too.
We light this chalice remembering the freedoms long established in our nation. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom from the establishment of religion.
We light this chalice honoring those who exemplify protecting those freedoms: librarians, booksellers, teachers, authors, readers. We light this chalice so that by its light we may read all the books: books with archaic language, books with offensive material, books which affirm the diversity of the human race, books which normalize our varied sexualities, books which share multidimensional perspectives of history. May we bask in the glow of its light this morning as we illuminate, brighten, and radiate because of the books we have read and the books we have yet to read.
And now I'd like to invite Regina Stanley forward for our new member welcome. And Edward as well.
I'd like to ask if you have become a member in the last 6 months, or actually if you've become a member in the past year and you were not able to participate in the last new member welcome, I'd like to call you up here at this time.
So if you have the order of service, we have an insert so everybody can be participating. We gather in church seeking a higher purpose and a deeper life than we could find alone. We are grateful today that each one of you, that you have found your way here and you decided to make a commitment to this faith community. We hope that as a member of this church, you will allow yourselves to know and be known, to minister to and to be ministered unto, to love and be loved by the congregation. The relationships we form in our church are based on the needs of the Spirit. These needs render each of us vulnerable and therefore reliant on one another's grace, goodness, and generosity of spirit. As members of this church, let us be guardians of each other's struggle and our inherent worth.
These are the members, these are the people who have become members in the last 6 months. Kathy and Ted Rex, Mary Perello, Aaron Roberson, Tricia Leffler, Gail Russell. And we also are going to recognize Lydia Wilson and Denise Hallstein, who were not able to be at the last one.
Will the congregation please rise, body your spirit, and join with our newest members in affirming our mutual commitments to one another. We embrace freedom.
We welcome and love all. We grow in mind, body, and spirit. We contribute to the healing of the world. We, the members of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria, are committed to these ideals and invite you to join us in this commitment.
We share your commitment and accept your invitation. We covenant to nurture one another, to inspire one another, to enrich our congregational life by participating, leading, and giving, and to celebrate life in all of its diversity, beauty, and creativity.
We welcome you into our beloved community of memory and hope. All, may we, the members of this congregation, remain faithful to our mutual commitments through all the ages and stages of life. We welcome you into this community with all our hearts. Yay. Okay. Regina. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. During our music for meditation, all are welcome to come forward for a chance to light candles and make a small light that acknowledges what is with you and within you. If you are online, I invite you to let these candles be for you as well. Let us now enter into our music for meditation. From the Reverend Michelle Collins. Some days the world's pain floods through us like water through a broken dam. Every headline, every cry of distress becoming our own. We come here thirsty for the wisdom, to care without drowning, to love without losing ourselves in the undertow of others' sorrow. Come, let us seek together the steady foundation from which true compassion flows. This is the time for the sharing of joys and sorrows in the congregation. We have a note, a wish for healing wishes, submitted by BJ Lindsay. BJ would appreciate healing wishes, good thoughts, and prayers for her co-worker Jacqueline's son, Fabian. Fabian has been battling a serious illness. We extend all hope and healing to Fabian and to good care for his mother, Jacqueline. I want to recognize a small moment of celebration amidst so many stresses and sorrows in our time, that this week marks 50 years of Wonder Woman on television. Linda Carter embodied the first Wonder Woman on TV 50 years ago this week, and that is a thing to rejoice. Let us extend our care and our heart to those near and far in our larger world who are facing food insecurity, job and income loss due to the government shutdown. We also can take heart by the efforts of our neighbors in Chicago who are showing up for their neighbors, for every neighbor, as people live in fear of being basically caught by immigration and abducted from their lives and the people they love. Let us hold one more moment of quiet. Within us and among us, there are so many names and milestones, joys and sorrows. Our circle expands to hold all. Let us pause and breathe into the circle of care. I invite you to breathe with me. Amen. Salam. Shalom. And blessed be. And now I invite Katie Jones to come forward and offer the story for us today. She was back in our reading. Oh, maybe I get to do the story today. Okay. All right. All right. We can do it. We can do it. All right. Well, come with me. All right. So, what if I told you that I had a black cat in this box? Would you imagine a black cat in the box? Yes. There are people who well and truly don't want you to use your imagination. They don't want you to see yourself in stories. They don't want you to think about what a better future or another world could look like. They don't want to have you understand how your body works. Information. They don't want information. And these adults act like bullies because they don't want you to know that love is love is love and that people are important, all people. Now, even though these people are acting like bullies, I want you to know that we also still care about them. We hope they will stop being so afraid of things that they do not understand. Now, here's where books come in. Books for to help us understand that things are hard to talk about, or sometimes that it's inappropriate to ask somebody else, but we want to learn about it anyways. We want to keep learning. We have questions. I know in Unitarian Universalism, there's always at least twice as many questions as people in the room, and also that many more opinions as well. So I'm just saying, we got a lot going on. Now, sometimes the grown-ups may say to you, you're not quite ready for this book or that book. And that's different than banning a book. They're saying that some things are hard to read and grown-ups want to be sure that you're ready. So that's a different conversation. We get to trust in our adults that they mean well when that conversation is there. They say maybe it's a little too soon. Now, the older you get, the more freedom you have to read all the books in the public library. And everything is there has been curated by some really brilliant librarians. They have found all these cool things to show you, and they also went to college just to learn how to do this. Librarians are amazing. So if I may, I don't know how many we have in the congregation, but in the moment, we just need a clapping for the librarians. We need a love for the librarians, yes? I'm kind of channeling one of my aunts is a fantastic librarian. I'm just kind of channeling her and all the librarians that I've ever known. And I want to include also teachers, because teachers curate knowledge and books and kind of act like micro librarians too. I mean, this goes wide and far. Now, I have some books for us to look at today, and maybe tell me by the picture on the book why you think this book was banned. So this one is And Tango Makes Three. And Tango Makes Three. Anybody know why this one is one of the banned books? The people have said, nope, you don't get that book in your life. Anybody know? Yes. Yeah, the father. So it's two dads. We got two dads going on with penguins. Ooh, frightening, right? Whoa. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Bodies are cool. Bodies are cool. Why might this be a banned book? Yes. People might not like you to know about body parts. Yes. I know. We have this struggle with truth and information these days. And also, I mean, there's many reasons. Oh my gosh, this book is so cool. You got to check this book out. It's so cool because it really features a lot of different bodies, it has medical devices in some of these images. I mean, it really shows the range and the diversity of people, right? Let's see. Your name is a song. Ooh, I have to actually figure out which one. Why is the one on this one? Your name is a song. Why might this be a banned book? Let's go find out. I think basically from what I can tell, there's diversity. There's racial diversity and expression and names and so on. That straight up diversity seems to be a threat. We are grateful Why might this be a banned book? We are grateful, and it also is in Native American, has Native American language on it. Let me just see where that is. Cherokee. Maybe simply affirming that there's a Native population that has been suppressed and subject to genocide for centuries. Just having a profound story is real. I love this. Hair, love. Last one. Hair, love. Why might this be a banned book? Yes. The father helps her with her hair. Ooh, I know, gender roles. Ooh. And also the affirmation that hair texture varies widely, and it's not just about the best hair being the white, straight hair. Yep. That it's not so much African American hair has so much deep history and is so problematic um, in being degraded and not seen as professional, not seen as worthy, not seen as clean. Hair love affirms everything for that. And there's some more up here. I highly recommend checking it out after the service. Now, what do we say to all the people who want to keep our books away from us? So I'm going to invite you to say it with me. We're going to say free. We are free to read. Can you hear me? Say, we are free to read. One more time. We are free to read. Amen. Thank you for the story. And now let us sing our children and adults to class. We pause for a moment in our service to recognize all the gifts that make our congregation possible, to make it possible for living into our mission and going out into the world, as well as taking care of ourselves in the congregation. So this is a moment to consider and to give what you will for the church that means so much, for the community that is not simply internal, but is out in public and trying to say brave things, for all that has been before that made it possible for us to gather now, and for all who will come after. We are building a foundation and a legacy every moment. And I know that you will give what you will and give what you can because we are a generous people. Now, we also send a portion of that generosity out into the world through our Share the Plate practice. Half of the undesignated plate goes out into a local organization that is doing good work in Peoria. So we collect that for every month. For the month of November, our Share the Plate will go to Lula NFP. They are a totally volunteer-run outreach program, provides food, temporary shelter, clothing, blankets, really simple stuff to our unhoused neighbors. And these are folks that Lula is serving. They've experienced deep trauma, they have medical concerns, they have mental illness concerns. And so this is simply trying to make life a little bit easier and also to provide ways for folks to hopefully maybe even get through a process of getting into housing and getting into a different situation that might be a little bit more safe and a little more secure. So it's a really good thing to be supporting Lula, I'm just going to say, just because of how deeply they work and how much they care about some of our most at-risk and vulnerable neighbors. So half of the undesignated plate will go to Lula this month. Please indicate where you'd like your donation to go with the envelopes in the pews. If you are giving cash that goes toward your pledge, in the envelopes, please be sure to include your name and that it's for a pledge. So we want to make sure to keep track of that. And now, also, you can go to the QR code in the order of service. And now I'd like to invite the ushers to please come forward. So our reading today is an invitation for reflection. I appreciate my colleague, the Reverend Julie Conrady, for this. For many of us, our lives have been changed by the books which offend others. Books that challenged our childish perceptions. Books that visualized emerging identities. Books that question our preconceived notions. Some stories are controversial because they depict the past. Others because they envision the future. I invite you to bring those books to mind, the books that have changed your life. It can be books such as I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, The Bluest Eye, The Color Purple, created by the wonderful author Toni Morrison. Books such as created by Anne Frank, Art Spiegelman's Mouse, we have a copy of that up here, Huckleberry Finn, our window to the horrors of the past. Books such as 1984, The Giver, A Brave New World, The Handmaid's Tale, Fahrenheit 451, our crystal balls gazing at our potential futures. Some stories act as a mirror to our own souls during childhood. Junie B. Jones, A Wrinkle in Time, Tales of the City, All Boys Aren't Blue, Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Some stories helped us through adolescence, genderqueer, looking for Alaska, A Fault in Our Stars, The Hate You Give, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, The Catcher in the Rye. Banning books is a blight on the soul of this nation and is equivalent in every time to killing a mockingbird. Be careful, beloved. The children are watching, and their eyes are watching God. I invite us into a moment of silence and bring forward what were the books that moved you, that might have been a threat or a concern to others. What have you given away, knowing that it could transform and that it was dangerous reading? I invite you to rise in body or spirit for hymn number 155, Circle Around for Freedom. It's in the gray hymnal if you wish to have the music. So as I begin the sermon, I want to send a thank you to my colleague, the Reverend Julie Conrady, again for sharing the service. She's a minister with our Unitarian Universalist congregations in Birmingham and in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Just so you know, I actually served in Tuscaloosa as my first ministry in 2000, and so it is such a gift to be able to connect with that again. And I know a bit about how Alabama has been struggling recently in efforts to ban books from school, to remove books from access in libraries, and more. And Reverend Julie has created the service and sent it out into the world, recognizing how much we need to know about our struggles and how much we need one another. And so after thinking about inviting folks to kind of share banned books or think about banned books, I started to look at some of the banned book lists and try to think about which ones to pull from my library and add to our table today. I so appreciate that Jesse Laughlin, our wonderful religious educator, added a bunch of books to the table to begin with as well. And as I went through the lists, I realized that some of these books are like the best books. They're the best books. You can read them over. Those of us who really enjoy the work of reading, you can read over a banned book list like a dessert menu. Tasty, yes. I like this one and this one and this one. So how can we choose which ones to bring? What banned books kind of come into our lives, have been in with us? And I love going back and looking at the banned book lists and being like, really? That one? That one? I had no idea. And I also want to add a note about what's on our table, that part of the pile here, the stack of older books, showed up in our book sale this week. And this stack of black older books in the front are all in Hebrew, and they're from 1931. They're published in this country. They are the Pentateuch, the first 5 books, the Torah in the Jewish tradition, and also the Midrash, the commentary that goes with them. And if these books, this little stack of books, had been in, say, Germany during World War II, they would have been confiscated and burned. These are radical books we have right here with us. Just want to recognize that, right? Perhaps some of the books that come to us in our minds when we're thinking about banned books are ones that they're the last one we've read, or maybe we've read them a million times. Perhaps we read them again because they've brought up a deep well of emotions for us, or they've been read during a particularly moving time in our lives. So I'm going to say, in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, focusing on this topic of banned books, at a time when books are upsetting to so many people, feels a little bit like preaching to the choir. Nobody's going to debate whether we should have books, right? I'm going to make a guess here. And there's also something to be said for bringing forward something that we know we can put energy behind it, that we know is important. How can we show solidarity in the midst of so many challenges, like our courageous librarians, like our neighbors in other states that are really, truly struggling? I mean, I also want to say, I didn't get into the ministry so that I could preach on banned books. I mean, that wasn't what I was aiming towards, right? I mean, I spent my whole time growing up, especially in the UU congregation, thinking that information access, liberation, freedom, that these were part of the human experience. It's part of the religious experience, part of my family's experience. This is simply what we do. And I remember those conversations about World War II, about the Holocaust. I remember the copy of Maus by Art Spiegelman that's here is a graphic novelization of the experience of World War II, the Jewish perspective, and that happens to be my copy from college, signed by Art Spiegelman. So we know this already. We know, right, that this is a concern. So why would anybody want to recreate, take notes from those playbooks and try to ban books again and destroy books again? Now, this isn't to say that we have to be fans of every book and not a fan of every author. I thought about this. There are authors who have proven to have harmful behavior and opinions, and it throws into question how to handle their work. especially when their work has been respected and valued for years. So I'm not going to tell you to not read their work. I will ask all of us, including myself, to consider the impact of continuing to support authors who actively harm people we love. One of the most prominent examples right now is J.K. Rowling and her emphatic calls for erasing trans folks from society. She keeps doubling down on the ugly and the hate. And Harry Potter. Gosh, Harry Potter. What a world. It spoke of magic. It still speaks of magic. And it also has a fair amount of bias against uh, folks who are fat and also folks who are not pretty. It invokes concerns about some ethnic stereotypes as well. But I won't ban the books from public access. The history of book bans in the United States goes all the way back to our theological ancestors, the Puritans. In 1637 in Quincy, Massachusetts, Thomas Merton published New England Canaan, where he criticized and decried some of the practices of the Puritans. So we've been wrestling with this for quite some time. But in modern history, the first book to be banned was the story of Robin Hood. Anybody want to guess why? Ooh. Because this idea of robbing from the rich to give to the poor was just too close to communism. Robin Hood was a red. And yeah, Robin Hood was banned by the Indiana Textbook Commission in 1953. And since that time, book bans have remained relatively local. So a lot of this work is local. It's around us. It's not a national thing, it's local. And local has always been the strategy when it comes to book bans because our Constitution and the Supreme Court, even this Supreme Court, has still made it clear that censorship and book banning are not part of what we do. That our freedoms of press and speech and assembly and religion take precedence over the comfort of individuals. Now, what's happening locally and around the country highlights how a few people can get a lot of people angry and spewing about something about which they know nothing, especially if it's about sexuality and race. Book bans show how needed our diversity in books really is. And if it was just trying to ban certain books, that would be one thing we could strategize against that. But the tactics that book bullies engage in is more than about just a library or cataloging. They are calling in bomb threats to libraries and schools because there's a book. They're threatening librarians' jobs and lives. Oklahoma teacher Summer Bosmere, after posting a QR code to access books on the Brooklyn Public Library's website, lost her job. She lost her job and had so many death threats she had to move across the country. So a librarian in Oklahoma posts the QR code to Brooklyn, New York, and it wrecked her life. People who wish to ban books are acting as domestic terrorists, trying to bring about the fascist regime in this country. And if the threat of violence isn't enough, threats of book burnings should stop us cold. At the Ozarkdale County Library Board meeting in Alabama in August, one board member offered to bring a match to deal with the books she considered inappropriate. Humans have been burning books and their authors since at least 213 BC to extinguish new ideas that challenge the empire. In fact, one of those is part of our Unitarian Universalist history, Michael Servetus. He challenged the idea of the Trinity in theology, and he was burned for it. Back by John Calvin, way back when. All librarians have been heroic through all of the threats of book bans and book burnings, continuing to do their job despite the pressure and the books to protect their work and the books they conserve. One brave library board president highlighted that American libraries are required to preserve libraries' independence from undue political influence and any threats of censorship. The purpose, the task is to protect information. Because after all, libraries promote intellectual freedom for all community citizens. The library is the place to go when there's no other place. The compromise, it seems, for some Alabama public officials is to move the books in question, because many of them are written for 12 to 18-year-olds, to the adult section in the library. Now, I'm going to make the guess that for folks in this church, that's not a big challenge. Because we, if we had to deal with this, would just walk the kids over to the section. But what this does is make it harder for access for so many other children and youth. Because what about the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, asexual child, questioning child, whose parents are not affirming, who will have to wonder, can they get to the book that they are interested in? Who would take a risk just to find affirmation and acknowledgement? So moving the books to the adult section is not the solution. It puts vulnerable children into an even more vulnerable spot. The ability to read about people in a book, to love and live like them, that by itself in the LGBTQIA+ community is suicide prevention. It preserves lives just by being able to read a book. The German word Giftschrank literally means poison cabinet, and it's evolved over the years to describe the books put under lock and key in restricted sections because of their ideas being so dangerous. Now, until 2016, when the copyright expired, Hitler's Mein Kampf was kept in the Giftschrank of German libraries, only available to those who had a scholarly reason. And while the Germans' hope for Giftschrank is for the common good, it is an idea that could easily multiply and amplify to dangerous proportions. But it does kind of beg the question just a little bit. That's always the example book. Like, shouldn't some books really be banned? Are books so powerful that they can cause humans to act dangerously? I like the musical interlude, thank you. So, for example, Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, was inspired by the Turner Diaries so heavily that part of the terrorist plot was from that novel. And it was found sitting in the front seat of his vehicle. Charles Manson regularly discussed how his favorite book was, this one just makes me laugh every time, that Charles Manson's favorite book was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Wow. Boy, better get that one off the shelf. I mean, I bet we have a copy in the fellowship hall someplace. I think we probably do. Yet the book bullies aren't trying to ban adult books. This entire movement centers around controlling age-appropriate children's content that children are only exposed to. So the children are only exposed to white storybook characters and heteronormative patriarchal narratives, whether they fit to that demographic or not. They want to just keep the world entirely in their image or in the image of what the world they think the world should be. That's it. As the Alabama Reporter disclosed earlier in October, the book bullies have written statements for children to read at the various meetings. So book bans are about indoctrination. Author Judy Bloom said, let children read whatever they want and then talk about it with them. If parents and kids can talk together, we won't have as much censorship because we won't have as much fear. The bans also aren't about the books, as I think we know. They are about people. Alabama activist Sam Olson says, it doesn't stop when the pronoun book is moved to the adult section. It doesn't stop when books like How It All Blew Up and The Hate You Give are tossed into a bonfire or dropped into a bucket of water. The intentional destruction of books about marginalized people is a proxy for violence against marginalized people. Oh, saying the part out loud. The intentional destruction of books about marginalized people is proxy for violence against marginalized people. Make no mistake, this is a matter of life and death. Book bans are attempts to silence the people whose voices have been silenced for so long, for centuries. As Toni Morrison wrote, the thought that leads me to contemplate with dread the erasure of other voices, of unwritten novels, of poems unwritten or swallowed for fear of being overheard by the wrong people, outlawed languages flourishing underground, essayist questions challenging authority never being posed, unstaged plays, canceled films. That thought is a nightmare, she says, as though a whole universe is being described in invisible ink. Reverend Julie Conrady shared what it meant for her husband, who is Mexican, to speak at a public forum and to explain how important it was for him to see Mexicans depicted in books, in movies, in TV, in other media. There was a lot of almost there moments he knew from seeing other brown people from different countries and his excitement over seeing real representations of himself. There's nothing like it. What we are here to defend today is that all people should be able to see their culture, their sexuality, their gender, their religion depicted in literature freely available at the public library. And without the library, we create a system where only those with money can access the material where they are represented. Now, the other prevalent topic is sex. I mean, especially in the books aimed at adolescents, including educational materials such as It's Perfectly Normal and the wonderful book that was here on the table. There are 6 Alabama state agencies from a 2017 report. The reason that Alabama's birth rate is 5th in the nation, it's in the top 5, it's 5th in the nation, is because of the lack of comprehensive sex education. And yet, they had that study, they had the information, and yet nobody did a thing with it. They said, sure, we're going to allow that. Oscar Wilde wrote that the books that the world calls immoral show the world its own shame. The books the world shows immoral shows its own shame. For some people, reading teen literature about normal teen behaviors is literally the only sex education they receive. And for most teens, they supplement their education with much more hazardous and dangerous internet videos. Adults have spoken out, saying they did not realize they had been sexually assaulted until they read about similar circumstances in a book. Children and teens need to understand their bodies more, not less. And banning books, moving them to the adult section, further isolates teens from reality and safety. Author of All Boys Aren't Blue, we have down in the front, George M. Johnson wrote, books with heavy topics are not going to harm children. Children still have to exist in a world full of heavy topics and are going to be affected by whether they have read a book or not. Having a book, giving them this tool, the language, the resources, the education for when they have to deal with a heavy topic, then they can have a roadmap for how to handle it. So, as Unitarian Universalists, the situation with our libraries is also, frankly, a religious issue. We affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We support every person in pursuit of exploration and healing and wholeness. It's in the mission of this church. We support comprehensive sex education. We have our Whole Lives class happening in the RE wing right now. We recognize that our identities are not dangerous, that ethnicities are not ranked, and that all people deserve to be represented and taught the history of their ancestors. More importantly, we know that scientifically, that deep reading makes us more empathetic, reminds us of our connection to the interdependent web of life. We're simply good, better stewards and more compassionate beings and more aware of the entirety of our existence when we read. Because we read. Abraham Heschel wrote, "Prayer is meaningless unless it is subversive, unless it seeks to overthrow and ruin pyramids of callousness, hatred, opportunism, and falsehoods." So my prayer today is that you will visit the local library this week. Check out items, go to programs, thank the librarians for their incredible service. And if you're an adult, maybe even try reading a genre or a topic that is out of your comfort zone, something you just don't usually choose. Interact with libraries on social media, share and like their posts. Visibility matters. Public support matters. Go to the public board meetings. Speak if one is inclined. We have so much struggle in some of the surrounding towns about access and affirmation. I'm naming Morton, frankly. We must show up as best we can. There are actions that we can take on a very local level to be advocates, to keep speaking out, to live into what we say we believe. As we keep learning, practically every day, our freedoms are not guaranteed. And so we must work together. Until we are free, none of us is free. As my colleague, Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto says, all of us need all of us to survive. So may we go forth today, admiring our courageous librarians, curling up with a good banned book. Yeah, this is a good day for that, right? Teaching our children the resources of the library and fighting it back against the forces of bigotry and oppression. We are free to read. So it may be. Amen. Please rise in body and spirit for our closing hymn, number 295, Sing Out Praises for the Journey.
We extinguish our chalice this morning, aware and prepared, should the time come. We will tell these stories. We will lift up these words. We will pass these lessons on to the next generation.
Written word changed the course of human history, but especially when those words were mass produced on the printing press. May our actions as we go forth from this place encourage writing and sharing, cataloging and loaning the written words that save lives and transform our relationships. Go in peace to your local library after you buy some books. Our worship is ended. Let our service begin.